Hello everybody, welcome back here on ChainLog. I'm a little bit late, I know, 3 minutes late. I was here but my parking slot was occupied, so I had to find a way to park my car and get here in time. Just in time, however, just in time, but I'm here. So today we are going to talk with this new format, tech Wednesday, about technical analysis on Bitcoin, on Ethereum, and everything else. So, first of all, if you have any question, I will be pleased to answer at the end. Otherwise, if you are gonna watch this late, when the live stream is closed, that's okay anyway. So let's start by talking about the Bitcoin analysis, and then we'll go into Ethereum, and then we'll talk maybe about a little bit about the Bitcoin dominance, other dominance, Ethereum dominance, USDT dominance, and some other indicator I have done along the way. I didn't prepare anything. I didn't have time to prepare anything actually. So we're gonna have this thing on the road. Let's talk about this. So let's get out all these indicators that are my actually favorite indicators, and let's talk about Bitcoin. I have 4 charts of Bitcoin, and every single chart has its Y, and let's start talking about this price action. This is one of the things that I talked about lately on Twitter, like 2, 3, 4 days ago, when we were more or less right here, okay, and we got this this red candle next that brought us to the 50 EMA and this 50 SMA. I just cleared my thought about it, and it was that was the actual bottom. Meanwhile, somebody was actually talking about 26k, 25k. I was not so sure. In fact, there was the BB close, there was the RSI more or less there. There was this 50s, this trend line right here. Everything was saying to me that was the way. Now, a few days later, and some price action. You see this red lines right here. These price targets were touched, and now we can wait for this as the top on the daily chart, and the 70 RSI that will come slowly back and towards the upper Bollinger Bands in the next few days. As of right now, we are overextended on the 4-hour chart. Let's talk about the short-term price action before entering the long-term price action. Here we have, and let's remove something, and let's talk about the chart itself. Maybe let's get all this thing out so we have a clear view of what's happening from the start. We have this price action right here. It seems like a more or less a bar, but it is not. And we could say that here, for example, if we take the graph just like that right here, we could say that we have this kind of price action that resembles obviously inverse head and shoulders on the chart. And if something like this happens on the 4-hour chart, where we could go actually, let me just take an head and shoulder here to make you better see what's going on. It's more or less, let's say, let me take it clearly. One here, one here, here, and let's say that this is the longest point. We have more or more or less right here. And if we do something like this, okay, if we do something like this, and we get to that point right there, and it hasn't to be perfect. It has to resemble an head and shoulder, three pyramidal structures inverse to get to another level. Right here we are 2971, 29,721 dollars, and if we manage to get a little bit back in the next few hours, in the next few candles on this chart, maybe, and we can measure it. Let's take a measurement from here to here. This is an head and shoulder pattern, so we have the target is from the highest point on the head to the neckline of this pattern, and actually it is 11.77%, 31.73. So 31.73 here, 31.73 more or less here. We have this kind of movement up to the chart, and probably if we manage to go back and up to the 30k, we can actually arrive at 33k more or less for sure. Okay, what actually stopped us to do something like this, and so to get to 33k, let me just make maybe an horizontal line on 33k and more or less. Let me see if there is other price action, and we'll see maybe on the daily chart there is other price action that will help us find a way where we could actually have some kind of resistance more or less here, probably in this part of the graph. Okay, more or less here actually, yeah. This is more or less the zone where we could find some resistance. So we have the target, we have the zone where there is the resistance, we have the confluence from these two things, and we could put there an horizontal line to make our target for the head and shoulder pattern. Now, let's take into account, instead of the possible head and shoulder pattern, what's going on right here, and let's say that this is the target for the HNS inverse. Okay. Okay, there's something that's wrong with my HNS. I don't like that. I like this. Okay, that's better. Inverse head and shoulder. Okay, so this is the pattern. I don't like this. I don't see shit. Okay, that's better. This is the target. So we can actually get this out, and maybe just maybe it's better to make it like something like this. Anyway, doesn't change really much, but in this case we don't have the neckline right here. We have a different neckline, so that is the another line that probably is not very much important that we make now on this graph, because it's true that is the true resistance trend line. It comes from the real top to here, and so the difference it's a little bit messy. But what's important for us is not to break this line now. If we manage to go down, it's to break this trend line right here, so we have the target. Okay, if we break that trend line I just cancelled, we have just another way up, you know, on the price action appreciation. So actually, let's see where we are as for the indicator. And on the 4-hour chart, we moved up on the 200 on bid stump, and we got above the 200 on the 4-hour chart. We are overextended, all above and so much above the upper Bollinger Bands that is at 29,059, so $29,059. We are well above and far extended onto that, and more. The RSI as well, the 70 RSI is at 29K and 464. So we are well above our range, where we could say we have actually maybe bought right here in this zone where I was talking about, right here in this zone right here, and now we are at those levels, and we maybe this is the time to sell. And I already said it today when we touched 29K, 28.9. I said this is the time to sell. Maybe it's still for it. Everything I will say is not financial advice, obviously, but this is what I was so that's what I saw. And now we can wait for a retracement. Where we could retrace is actually below this this zone right here, or at least a retracement level to the 29K for sure, where there is the 200 SMA for the 4-hour chart. And so let's make on the graph another target for that as well. Maybe let's get into the 70 RSI, be close the upper Bollinger Band. 29. Let's make 29.2 and half of those. So we have more or less this metric, and let's see if it corresponds with the price action resistance on the candles. Let's take out all of this now. So you have more or less, to have an accurate target, you have to take your indicators, you put together all the information you have, and then you watch the candles. There is on the pre-section, and just on the pre-section, in this case watching only the candles, a resistance zone in that level. If not, just manage to make it more or less that zone right there, and more or less you are there. So let's take this as the because we lost it here and we broke down very much. We tried to regain it, but we didn't. Here as well, we closed there and we got back, but then back up. Here we didn't manage. So this is a zone where there is a demand or anyway supply. So let's say that this is the supply in that we have. This is the let's say the point where we could see some resistance or support now. And let's take into account not only that, to re-enter. Maybe this is the first entry. I will say that this is the our first entry. Okay. Now on the 4-hour chart, we are talking about the 4-hour chart, so short-term trading in a matter of 1, 2, 3 days at the very maximum. Okay, not taking into account the next few weeks. We are going to see that in a moment. We are just making technical analysis on a free chart on Bitcoin today, and we go on Ethereum and everything else as well. Okay, so I don't know if I have my chart anyway somewhere maybe. Let me see. Okay, yeah. So first entry here, and then we can go lower to find another entry. Where we can find it, taking into account all of our indicators again. We have the middle Bollinger Bands, we have the lower Bollinger Bands, and the 30 RSI again to enter on the 4-hour chart. Actually, this is very low, and I don't get exactly a real point to enter, but this is the first very risky entry, because I would very much likely to re-enter on a 100 EMA on this chart right here. That is more or less where we have in the next few 4-hour chart candles the 50s, because the 50s will do something like this. Let me make it clear to you. The 50s, these green lines will make something like this, and will get into contact with the 100. So probably this is the zone where we could find another entry, and let's say that we get back our chart and let the price action speak for itself. Is more or less, this is more or less where we can actually say that an entry is plausible, okay? Even if probably there are a lot, and depends on how much you wanna take and make a profit on your trades. Once again, this could be another one for sure, in the middle of the price action right here. I will not enter as of right now with all this euphoria. Less than this, probably setting another entry below the 27.6k is not very useful, even though I didn't watch here on the 2-hour, for example, and in fact for the RSI we don't have anything right there, and then we have the lower Bollinger Bands, but no, for now there isn't any maybe the 1 hour, because you have to know that the 1 hour chart, it's bought before the 2-hour chart. The 2-hour chart is bought before the 4-hour chart can be bought, and be overbought, obviously, because they are lower time frame. So if you have for a fast entry, you could watch now the 1-hour chart and get the lower Bollinger Bands here, and more or less the middle Bollinger Bands with the price action. That if it doesn't get both right here and just dips a little bit below and stays right here, this is a good zone to buy, and so on. But this is just for the short-term price action, okay? In this case, we had we saw that we are overextended, and I wouldn't stay in this market. If I add this trade, I will exit and enter lower, actually, if I have some trades, but I don't actually have, and I invest long-term. When the bull market will come, maybe I will come back and trade again, maybe with you, maybe live. I don't know, because I like the 4-hour, 1 hour, and daily charts, also in bull market. In bear market, my focus actually is on the weekly and monthly charts. So let's see actually on the daily chart if everything corresponds, and it's good for our targets. So we have the first entry that more or less are here, and more or less corresponds on the upper price section we had, and the lower price section we got to that level. Let's make one indicator at a time. The next support for this chart for the MAs, it's at 28 and 28.5 more or less. Here we have the 26 EMA, the 12 EMA, the 26 SMA, that in this case is at 28.8. So more or less this zone right here is our first liquidity area, below the 4-hour chart first liquidity area. So we have this, that is the 4-hour liquidity area, 4-hour, okay, and I don't know if, okay, it doesn't actually, let's make it top, maybe. We have this 4-hour chart, liquidity area, first entry right here, and then we have another one below, and it takes time actually to get all in place for a technical analyst, but to show you, because I already I would have already done it just by watching it. So I'm trying just to to explain to you how my tactics are and how I make money in bull markets with technical analysis, because in bear market all my money are on investment, and these are the majority of money I made every and single cycle. I invest in bear market, I start selling in bull market over the all-time highs, and then I'll start making some like 50% of my portfolio. This is a portfolio management, and I'm making free to you to know how to manage your money. 50% of the profit I'll make it so I have liquidity for bear market, and the other 50% I reinvest 25%, and 25% I make it on other. I reinvest it on the same, and 25% I reinvest it in other altcoins or anyway or other assets. So I have I can run with the market without getting out too early. Let's say anyway that this is another major liquidity area. You see yourself how much candles we have, and the MAs where they are, and also the BB close. In the case we fall back below the middle Bollinger Bands, we can reach that area before actually going too deep, and that where we will then go probably if we stay right here. And the middle RSI. The middle RSI is very important as well, because it takes us into a relative strength chart. If we stay above the middle RSI, the 50 RSI, that means that the price chart has strength to gain momentum after maybe something like this. Well, we have the points to entry, and we know now that this is another one, because it is a let's say we have only the price action, but there isn't that really much below that, apart from this 50 that we already saw that we used as a support. So they are strong support, and probably they are starting every day to get above that, and in a few days we will be back above. If we lose that, we have this trend line right here. Another thing that we could see for a complete technical analysis on Bitcoin, and I think I will not have the time to make it on Ethereum. I would have liked to, but probably I will not have. But let's complete one thing at a time, and maybe next time I'll bring you Ethereum or anything else, and I'll try to be faster. If you have any question, if I see that you don't have any question, I will just complete what it is needed to be completed. There is people in the background. Anyway, here let me. So one thing that we the last thing that we have right here to see is the patterns. So in the 4-hour chart we have this kind of pattern, and we saw that we had the head and shoulder, okay, and we had the target. But what about a new pattern that will help us understand where we can go from now? We don't have very much on the daily chart. Some candle right here like this break all the scenes, and what actually remains are this kind of price action, and I will make it like blue so we know that is another one. With this, for example, and this is actually a bearish triangle. Why? Because the trend line, the upper trend line, the blue trend line, is more angular to in comparison to the lower trend line right here that is less angular, and we have this kind of bearish pattern. But I don't know, we will have to see as well if this actually it is some kind of bullish until we realize, but we don't have that much point to say that this upper trend line is right, because we have one two point of contact, and I wouldn't very much like something like that. We don't see a very a good confirmation, a good pattern until maybe we have more data here, and we don't have it right now. I saw a lot of talking about this on the weekly chart, and probably it's maybe better if we change the chart right here. I saw a lot of talking about this bearish weekly candle. Okay, I don't think a single engulfing bearish candle could actually say anything about the price action of the future, but because it's a single point of failure, and the single point of failure is more or less never either. So in this case, on the weekly chart, we can maybe have some kind of similar price action. Let's see if we can make a pattern from this. No, probably we don't have this kind of pattern right here as well. There isn't really much to say about the confirmation on the weekly chart. We have this kind of resistance that is forming, but it's just 1 point right here as well, so there isn't really much we can say. Probably this is better, and we are retesting again this resistance. There isn't really much to say on the weekly chart right here. We have some kind of a bullish, let's say, pattern, because some kind of people maybe can say that this is some kind of a head and shoulder, inverse head and shoulder, but it isn't, because here it was invalidated by these last price action candles, and it doesn't make it clear where we could go from here. This chart I was taking into account this chart because is one of the that I used before we got down from there. We were more or less on 40k, and I started working on the Fibonacci levels, and I saw that we got to the 1.30 1.13 from the bottom here of the June 21 to the top of November 21, and then again we did it again 1.30 13 here until the 1.272, more or less perfectly if you watch it, more or less perfectly, and the same goes for that. And I think these are the price zones. Just to make some kind of argument with my friends. Yesterday I was live with the crypto entity crew and so on, and we talked about the possibility of the next bull market where actually Bitcoin could end up, and this is the very top. I will say 245k. Not only by my on this just for fun charting, but also for other on-chain indicators that I want to talk. I don't want to talk today about, and nothing on the monthly chart. Instead, let's see if we have some kind of new pattern that is forming. Let's take it here, and let's say that it's probably not really much good. Something like this, if it is something like this, because this is an ascending broadening wedge, and it's bearish because at the very end this let's say bull move now could very much go here. I saw this pattern on Terra Luna and it dropped it down. I saw this pattern on other confirmation, and I saw it as well here, and I was talking about that on Twitter here, and in fact it was very bullish. it tends to break bullish in this case, because it's at the ascending broadening wedge. Meanwhile, that of before, it is a giant ascending broadening wedge. Something that I don't like, actually, as I already said. And if we take the daily on this augmented move, maybe you can see it yourself, that is still something like that as well. And this trend line were for the actual monthly chart. So anyway, where we could go for now, I already said it. We need to get lower, and so probably we'll have to get lower before getting higher on these charts. And these are the entries in my opinion. And this is the Bitcoin technical analysis that I promised. I would have liked to do it on Ethereum as well, but the time has finished for today's live. And I hope you enjoyed the content. I hope you learned something today. If you have any question, you know where to find me. I have Instagram, Twitter, Telegram, and I am on LinkedIn. I have a newsletter. All the links are in the description. And we'll see you next time. Cheers.